Hey listeners, this episode contains mention of substance abuse and conversation about suicide. Please take care while listening.
So tell us how to get there. Can you give us...
Okay. Yeah, so if I remember right, you'll take 5 down to probably 99 to Bakersfield. And I wouldn't get off at Union Avenue. That's the old part of town. It's the old row where all the hookers and Dauphine motels. And it takes you a lot of twists and turns to get to where we're going. So you want to get off on 58 going east and then take the Mount Vernon exit. The Memorial Hospital will be right there on your right. Well, from Mount Vernon Avenue, you'll pull in on the east side of the hospital, and you'll just go like 10 or 12 parking spaces down, and then you'll be able to see Elton Avenue. Once you pull in, drill first on the curb that faces Mount Vernon, and get out of your car and look left, you'll be looking north, and you'll see the same sunset over the same trees.
Think we're gonna see all this?
I think so.
My last memory from the street was I remember standing in a parking lot of Bakersfield Memorial Hospital with a hose coming out of the exhaust pipe of my truck and watching a sunset. I thought I couldn't go on any further, that if I did, I was going to end up in prison. Everything had pretty much gone to hell. I was an alcoholic. I was drinking a fifth of whiskey a day, Wild Turkey 101. Tried to find work. At the time, there wasn't any work to be found. I felt like I was just going to go off into the abyss, and I'd rather have some control of what was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So that control was to end it myself instead of something else in it, whatever it was I was afraid of. I had a failed sprinkler business, so I had equipment in the back of the truck, and I thought the easiest way to go out would be just to put a hose in the exhaust pipe, put it in the cab of the truck, go in and drink some whiskey until I figured I would just faint. I wouldn't know when I would go out.
What did you think would happen to you after you died?
I figured the guy running around the parking lot would finally see me still there and come check on me, see that the hose was running in there, probably open the door and check me. I should be dead. They called the hospital folks or police, and since the hospital was right there, they'd take me in there. I had all my ID. I had written a note, something about no blame. I know there's no one to blame.
Yeah.
I went to this parking lot in this hospital because it was close to my parents' house. I figured the hospital people come out, find me, take me straight into the hospital, find out who my parents are, then they'd only have to come 2 or 3 blocks to the hospital, do my check, identify me, and then go back home. So I was like within almost sight of the intersection where they lived like 4 houses on.
Could you see their house?
Not quite, almost. I could see the street to the house and the big tree next door. And I thought about this, I thought about how sad everybody was going to be, but I didn't really know what I was going to do after that. So they might have been sadder. I don't know.
Did you ever think about that if you had killed yourself? Yes, it was convenient for your parents, but every time they saw that spot, they would be reminded.
I had thought about that, but I think maybe at the time I thought that was part of it. I was in too much pain. Maybe I wanted them to feel a little bit.
Yeah. Were you afraid to die?
No, I don't think I was afraid to die. I still don't think I'm afraid to die. I think death, in a way, is still a kind of a relief of life, right? I don't have a death wish, but I think death is a relief.
Then what happens after you die?
I don't know. When I taped up the hose to the exhaust pipe, when I walked around, I looked up and the sunset was just like, I'm colorblind. I only see maybe 3, 4 different colors. I don't see colors of the rainbow, but that day, I saw like many colors. A lot of it red, and I thought that pretty appropriate for the moment, and I just was stuck on the sunset. I just thought how beautiful it was, and that I wasn't going to see another one. I guess the sunset sort of reduced it to like, what am I doing? What are you going to do here? I just decided that I did want to see another one, and that prison was going to be better than death. So I decided I was going to go rob a bank instead. I pulled the hose out of the exhaust pipe, threw it in the back of the truck, and drove off.
What did you do after you made that decision? What was the next step for you?
So I went back to the house, went in the garage, and there was an old paint gun that was sitting around in there for some reason. I broke pieces off of it, kept the pistol and the plastic part, took black electrical tape, taped up all the huge holes that's all over it to make it look like a gun so I could swing it around in the bank. And next morning, I robbed Home Savings and Loan right behind Marie Callender's on Oswald Avenue. I walked in, had a bandana and a cowboy straw hat on and sunglasses. Went in, waved that around real quick so they'd think I have a gun. Put it back in and walked out with money from 3 tellers and ran off. Got home, told my girlfriend at the time what I'd done. We went for a drive. Went and picked up an 8-ball, picked up a 5th of whiskey, tank of gas. Drove around for about 5 hours. And we got in an argument. And I told her if she didn't turn left at the next street, I was going to grab the steering wheel. She got pissed off, turned left, gunned it, and it was a dead end. And there was a black and white sitting in the end asleep, facing this way. And when we stopped right parallel with him. I had a 5th on my knee, money in my pocket. She got a DUI and I got a bank robbery. That's how that went down.
You got some good luck, bruh.
Yeah. Well, in a way, Earlonne, you're right. In a way, it was good luck. In a way, it was good luck.
We've been thinking a lot about memory and about the particular memories that people carry with them while they're inside.
And the places where those memories was first made.
Yeah, and it seems to me that the memories are tethered to specific spots. So while you're inside, you're like somehow psychologically anchored to that physical place.
Yeah, you're going to keep coming back to it in your mind, you know what I'm saying? And you can picture that place perfectly.
Do you think that those memories, that picture of the memory gets stronger, or does it recede over time?
I would say recede, but I would definitely say you conjure it up so much to where, you know, you're able to paint the picture perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
So in this episode and the next one, we're hearing a few of those memories and visiting the spots where they took place. I'm Earlonne Woods.
And I'm Nigel Poor. This is Ear Hustle from PRX's Radiotopia.
Michael Moore is a resident of San Quentin, which is where we met him. He's an older dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little rough around the edges physically, but he has a real warmth about him.
He is serving a 35-year-to-life sentence for the bank robbery that he committed after deciding not to end his life in that hospital parking lot.
If we could, which we can't, but if we could bring you something back from that place, what would you want?
Probably a leaf. Yeah, a leaf. Just a leaf blown in the wind, yeah.
You think those 2 trees are still there?
All those trees are still there.
Okay, that will help us
Yeah,
identify
because
it.
you would be looking at Mount Vernon and then turn directly to the left and you'll see the trees.
Yeah.
I hope you guys will enjoy the scenery. You'd be coming from the north, so you'll take 5 down to probably 99 to Bakersfield. You want to get off on 58.
Can I see the instructions?
Yep.
A few weeks after we talked to Michael in San Quentin, we jumped in the car with our producer Bruce and drove down to Bakersfield looking for the lot where Michael had seen that sunset.
I can't believe that this is a very crowded parking lot. When he was describing it, I imagined it being really empty.
Wait, so it was...
We found Memorial Hospital, but it didn't look like Michael had described it at all. It was really busy, and we couldn't even find the streets, Mount Vernon or Elton Avenue.
We couldn't see the mountains or the trees or any of that.
I know, at Earlonne, it actually made me start to question the whole premise of this episode. It's like, were we just chasing ghosts or something? We're 2.5 miles from Mount Vernon Avenue. So, do you think his memory is just of where he was is completely off?
Or the hospital might have moved.
Yeah.
I wonder if
And that's when you start scrolling around your Google Maps and found a few miles away another hospital with a different name, and it had those street names that he told us about, though.
Yeah, weren't you surprised I could do that on my phone?
No, I wasn't. I didn't doubt you one bit, Nige.
Okay, so armed with that information, we headed that way, and Bakersfield started to get a little bit, a little weird. Earlonne, what's ahead of us?
It looked like some billowing black smoke. I don't know if it's a car or a structure.
It is so dark and close to the ground, and then over to the left, like about half a mile away, there was another fire like that, like thick black smoke.
Uh-oh. You think it's going down out here in Bakers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, look at straight ahead. There's another fire. We were going. I think, are we going by the same underpass? And there was a guy walking there with no shirt on, and what I would describe as a very big knife sticking out the back of his pants.
A knife or a machete?
Maybe it was a machete. It was a little menacing. Bakersfield Druids? Druids? A Druid club?
What is Druid?
They're like people that worship, like, what, sun and such? Pagans?
Guy walking down the street with no shirt.
Shirtless is a common look here.
Remember when Michael told us not to take that one road to his parking lot?
You mean the road to hookers and dope fiends and all that stuff?
Yeah, I think we ended up taking that route.
Yeah, I think we did. But eventually we did find the other hospital, and things started to make more sense.
And if we're facing some mountains?
Oh, those are mountains. You can see.
Can you see?
Yeah.
Oh, you good.
Wow. Okay. That sound is a medical helicopter sitting on top of the hospital. We actually saw it land. So what we're looking at is very manicured lawn. There's a street that's pretty quiet, and then you can see another part of the hospital. And I could imagine you could be pretty anonymous out here, right? This on the surface does not look like a very inspiring spot to see beauty or things about humanity that would snap you out of your depression. And so the only thing that I think that would potentially change what you're thinking about is the sky and the sunset and the grass and the trees.
He definitely had to be in a cold mindset. He wanted intervention, and I guess the sky intervened.
Yeah.
You know, and it showed him some colors he'd never seen.
Yeah. He said he was looking through 2 trees, so these could be the
these
trees.
these 2 trees. Could have been right here in this moment where we at.
He said 10 to 12 spots.
Yeah, we're 10 to 12 spots in.
Every once in a while, there's people walking by, coming out of the hospital, getting into their cars. So it makes me wonder about how many people actually saw him here and either weren't paying attention or maybe saw what he was doing and just didn't want to get involved and ignored it. If you look all 4 ways, which way would you look to for some inspiration?
Shit. I don't see no inspiration around here. Yeah, I don't see any.
I think the only life-affirming thing here is the sound of the birds and then the voices that you hear of people walking by. That would be something that would make you think for a minute. But I don't see how any of these buildings would really do much to change your mindset. We were standing there and it was, I don't know, it wasn't quite working out the way I had imagined it. And then Bruce, our producer, suggested, why don't we start talking to people as we see them walk by? Can we ask you a question to record? When you look around, do you see anything that's life-affirming to you when you look around the space?
Life-affirming?
Yeah, that would snap you out of a sadness if you were here.
No, I mean, not really.
Do you see anything life-affirming when you're in this parking lot? If you were depressed, would you see anything here that would...
No. No, not really. I mean, I don't know.
Nothing less.
No? Oh, can you ask in Spanish?
Es lugar, el espíritu de vida de este lugar tiene.
Too hard?
No. I can't do it.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, folks weren't feeling so inspired out in that parking lot.
No, they weren't. And I started wondering, what are we going to bring back to Michael?
We'll hear that after the break.
I've tried to picture you guys trying to find the spot and what would be going through your mind as you go to find the spot, and picturing you turning left and looking where I looked and how different a spot can be.
And how many years ago?
That would have been in 2000.
So we're talking 21 years ago.
Yeah, 20, yeah.
We had the address. We knew it was on Mount Vernon.
Yeah.
And Elton was near there. And you told us it was Memorial Hospital. Either the names have changed or you didn't remember correctly because we went to Memorial Hospital and it wasn't on Mount Vernon.
Oh, no, Bakersfield Memorial. Oh, Kern Medical. That's what it was. It's Kern Medical, not Memorial. Memorial's down on Truxton. It's Kern Medical.
That's exactly what it was.
So that's interesting that you stood on the same spot. Often I think of when I'm in a spot, how many things could have happened. Like the stairs here, the 46 stairs of San Quentin, there's so much horrible things have happened on those stairs. It's funny how a spot can have a good memory for some and a bad memory for others, right?
Yeah.
And it's so awesome that you guys would hear this story and go to that spot after hunting it down.
As you know, there are very strict rules about taking in anything to give guys inside.
Yeah, but you were able to bring something in to show Michael.
Oh, you did? Oh, wow.
So what is that? What are you looking at?
I got permission from Lieutenant Robinson to show Michael a branch that I grabbed from one of those trees in the hospital parking lot.
As long as you took that branch with you when you left.
Yes, which of course I did. And when I showed that branch to Michael, there was this kind of moment of silence and then incredible recognition.
So it's a small twig about 6 or 7 inches long with a bunch of curled up small leaves. The desire is kind of dried up to do what I was going to do when I was there, so it represents it well. And that's cool that I'm touching something from Bakersfield too. I haven't been back there in almost 23 years. So.
What memories do those bring back?
So right away, it just reminds me of the trees that sort of framed the sunset. I had taped the hose into the exhaust pipe, and then when I turned around, I was going to take my last look at the world. And the trees were, I don't know if they were silhouetted, but they kind of framed the sky, right?
Yeah.
And I think that made the colors more vivid. So this kind of reminds me of the trees that framed all the colors of the sky.
I kept looking around for something that would snap me out of a depression or an end of my rope feeling, and there just was not much. And so then we decided, okay, we're going to start going around and we're going to ask people if they see anything here that's life-affirming. So we started going around the parking lot and asking people, and everyone was like, no, I don't really see anything here. And so eventually an ambulance drove by, and we stopped them, and we asked the guys inside, do you see anything life-affirming here? And, of course, they're kind of like, what are you talking about?
So when you look around this parking lot, if you were depressed and you looked around this parking lot, would you see anything that would pull you out of your depression and make you feel like life was worth living?
Maybe a little bit, just because there's a little bit of trees, a couple of flowers and stuff, and I'd say there's some life there. So I'd say naturally if we keep going on, we'd be all right. But I'd have to be pretty deep down to find that in this parking lot, yeah.
So we're doing a story about a man who came here to kill himself.
Oh, shit.
Parked right over there. This was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he saw a sunset over there, and that's what stopped him from doing it. So we wanted to come here for ourselves and see if we could find anything that would be life-affirming. Yeah. It's pretty hard.
It is hard. I think maybe subconsciously he was looking for it.
Maybe.
But I'd say you could find, if it just happened to be the right time, perfect, divine timing or whatever, I think that you could find it if you're looking for it. Yeah. But you have to want it too.
You have to look pretty hard.
Yeah, but you can definitely not find it.
Do you have any thought on this?
Well, what's going on?
I love this guy's head is just peeping out from the back of the ambulance. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So if you were depressed and you looked around this parking lot, would you see anything to snap you out of your sadness?
Snap me out. Probably look at the sky, maybe. Just to know that I'm not limited.
Oh, nice.
The horizons. There's something off in the distance that I can focus on. Yeah. Something probably better.
And the ambulance driver was telling us what he does if he sees somebody who he thinks is having a problem. And so I said, well, what would you have done if you saw this man sitting here? And he said, well, what I normally do is I'll look, and then I'll drive around the block and come back and see if anything's changed. And if I'm still not sure, I'll drive around again, and then I'll slowly move in and then try to talk to the person to see what's going on. And I described, your situation, and do you think he would have noticed? And he said, yeah, I think I would have noticed that something wasn't right.
I think I kind of was hoping that would happen.
Yeah.
Still a little emotional still when I think back, when I'm talking about it.
Yeah.
Because you guys were the first ones that I talked to about it. I think the lack of options that when somebody's in that space, is like really dark. It's like you got all this life running around you, and you just can't.
Any tissues?
You just can't connect, and it's really lonely. Like you just want to be found, right?
Yeah.
Before I do this, I hope somebody finds me in a way. Of course, this is the only time I would admit that, because I'm being so honest with you guys. If an ambulance would have started skulking around like a shark or something and started concentric circles on me, I might have thought this wasn't a good idea and changed my mind, right?
I guess when I was there looking out, trying to find something that would change my mood. It felt so heavy that I couldn't see anything. Like I just kind of think like, what was Michael seeing here? Like through his eyes, how did this all look? It looked dreary. It looked like the end.
I think that's why I looked up.
Yeah.
Did you look up?
Mm-hmm. That was it. That was the only thing.
That was the only place you could look and see anything.
I'm really intrigued by our ability to live in memory, but so often that memory, it's foggy and it's little bits of experience that we really want to try to understand, but we can't always get to it. And so it was so cool that we were able to bring something back to Michael and experience that memory together. It somehow made it more concrete.
Right. And I don't know if this is a thing or not, Nige, but when you're locked up, your last memory, I don't care if it's 10, 15, 20, 25 years later, your last memories are still vivid to you like it happened yesterday. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the last thing you probably did while you was free, Well,
I guess it, because you also said to me one time that people on the outside are constantly making new memories.
Yeah, every day.
All their memories are piling up.
Every day. And our memories are just in that little suspended animation. So those are different memories than the ones you on the streets with. So
yeah.
On our next episode, how life totally changed for one family around a table at Applebee's.
And we're going to explore one of your last memories before prison.
It's a deep moment. I mean, I haven't been there,
Yeah, you ready for it?
I don't know.
Well, we'll be there together.
Ear Hustle is produced by me, Earlonne Woods, Nigel Poor, Rasan New York Thomas, John Yahya Johnson, Rashid Zinneman, Bruce Wallace, and Tony Tafoya.
This episode was sound designed and engineered by Antoine Williams, with music by Antoine, David Jossi, and Rashid Zinneman.
Additional sound design and engineering by Terrence Bernardo.
Amy Standen edits the show, Shubnan Sigman is our digital producer, and Julie Shapiro is the executive producer for Radiotopia.
We'd also like to thank Warden Ron Broomfield. And as you know, every episode of Ear Hustle has to be approved by this smooth guy here.
This is Lieutenant Sam Robinson, the public information officer here at San Quentin State Prison. There are many memories that, you hear people recalling during their time here, their time before they got here. And this is an interesting episode because it really gives you an idea of how people reflect on their situation in their world. So with that, I will say that I approve this episode.
This episode was made possible by the Just Trust, working to amplify voices, vision, and power of communities that are transforming the justice system.
Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, The Lowdown, where you can learn more about each episode and find out what the Ear Hustle team is up to. Subscribe at earhustlesq.com/newsletter.
Ear Hustle is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX. Radiotopia is a collection of independent, listener-supported podcasts.
Some of the best podcasts around. Hear more at radiotopia.fm.
When we're outside of San Quentin, we record at KQED in San Francisco. I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Earlonne Woods. Thanks for listening. Sequence dress from that yard sale,
yeah,
Nigel.
I saw a yard full of dresses.
Radiotopia from